Hello. We're going to talk about creating a plant list now in Vectorworks 2013. It's pretty straightforward, but once you see, I mean, it may seem a little complicated at first, but once you see it, I think you'll agree it's fairly easy. At any rate, this is, as you can see by my title block, this is my proposed plan. And what it has is all the colors. It's got the plant material with the names and callouts. Some of these are existing and some are going to be new. So what we do is, or what I find the easiest thing to do is first come out to your planting layout page, and through your object information palette, you use the tools here to turn on or off or gray all of the items that you don't think you need. And then what you're left with, or what I have left here, is just the new plants. And when it's printed, it shows quite clearly the gray is not the plants and the darker circles are the plants. And then by having all of the call-outs on it, it makes it easy to navigate to where the plant is and where it's going to go. But I would like to put a plant list with this. So there's two different methods of doing this. The first is called a schedule, and the second is called a report. So let me show you both. What you do is just navigate up here to Tools, and you come to Reports. And let's look at the schedule first. And what the schedule is, it gives you some pre-made listings already, which is pretty nice. You can pick plant list with images, colors if you have all the colors of the flowering plants. Same thing, costing, simple with images or types. So let's just look at basic. And you're going to check place worksheet on drawing. And we're going to put it right here. And you can see right there, it is already got all the names here, common names, the quantities, the IDs. This has scheduled size, flower color, remarks. So I want to edit this a little bit. So I'm going to double click it. And it brings me into this worksheet. You can see here it's got everything there. And so in this, I don't want the scheduled size, so I'm going to highlight the column, and I'm going to come to this little tiny drop down, and I'm going to come down to delete, and I want to delete the column. And I don't have any remarks here, so I'm going to do the same thing with the remarks. Delete column. And everything else looks pretty good, so I just click it. And there I have a very basic plant list ready to go on this drawing. Okay? Okay. The other thing you can do is create a report. So let's go to Tools, Reports, Create Report. And this becomes a little more involved, but you can be a little more selective about what it is you're going to have on this. So I'm going to put the title as Plant List, List 2. And because I know that when I created the plant symbols, they had all types of information with it that are called a record. I want to list all objects with a record. There's a drop down here that can be just symbols, but I want all objects with a record. And I want to list the objects with a record related to my plant record. Okay. Now on the left-hand side are all the possible columns we have. And if you remember back when we created the plant symbol, these were all the different fields that you could fill out. And on the right-hand side is what will appear in the column. So let's just do a very quick one. We'll just have the first three. The ID, the quantity, and the Latin name. So you can multiple select and highlight them. Add. And then always check down here, check this box that says summarize ID with this, summarize items with the same Latin name, ID, or quantity. Usually I either pick Latin name or ID. I'll use ID now. And I click OK. And here is my report. Now let's edit this a little bit. So in the first thing you can see right off the bat, number 2, line 2 here, this is a called a database header, and what's this doing is summarizing all of these columns. But I really don't need this to be here, so I highlight it, and the same thing, I come up to this little arrow pointing down, and where it says database headers, where it's checked off, I just click it again and it'll uncheck it. And then these 3 rows I'm not going to need, so I'll do the same thing. I'll come here, delete those rows. Now, I also won't need this column, D, because there's nothing in it. So I come here and click, delete columns. Now, I want this to appear a little bit differently, so I'm going to move this in a little bit. And I'm going to move this in a little bit. And I'm actually going to move this one out a little bit. Come on now. Okay. Now, yes. Now I like the things to be in the middle of the column, so I highlight the whole column, come down to my drop down, and now that's called Format Cells. So we come to the Format Cells. The number is going to be general. The alignment I want to be in the center. And the font I want it to be, let's see, I like Optima. So let's see where that is. Of course, you can pick whatever one you want. Here's Optima. And I think I want them to be an 8-point. And I don't want them bold right now, so I'm going to uncheck that. Click OK. I'm going to do the same for this. Format cells, alignment center, center. Font is going to be Optima. And I'm going to make them 8. And I'm going to uncheck that. Click OK. And the same for this one. Click OK. Now my header up here, though, I do want that to be bold, so, but I don't want anything else to be bold. So I go ahead and click this, come to here, same thing, Format Cells, come to Font, and now I click bold, and now those are bold. And everything looks like it's okay. So I click it off. Now what happened to it, you might ask? Well, what happens is once you create it, it becomes a resource. So just click open your resource browser. And all of these resources are in this file. Hatches, line types, record formats. We've kind of gone over this already. And worksheets is normally way at the bottom. These are normally in alphabetical order. It's way at the bottom. And you can see that the first list that we did, the plant list basic, is here. And this one that we just created, plant list 2, is here. So in order to get it onto our sheet, we just click on it and drag it, and you can see the icon changed, and just release it. And there it is. And it fits nicely on there. It's good to go. Now, sometimes you may want to do some other work. Like, for instance, let's say that you already have this done, and now The client says, okay, go ahead. How much is that all going to be? Well, you didn't give them a price. So if they're paying you to give an estimate on this, you can easily do that as well. So technically, there is a way to work with this as well. You can add other columns here and do this whole complicated thing. I very rarely do it that way. What I normally do is I export this plant list and open it in Excel, which I find much easier to work with multiplying and summarizing and all that kind of stuff. So the way to do that is you must have the worksheet open, and you come up to File, Export, Export Worksheet. And the file format you want to do is Tab, and either all rows or selected rows. Click OK. I'm going to send it to my desktop so I can find it quickly. I'll leave that name as it is, and I'll click Save. Now, if I go to my desktop, you can see that it's here. Everything looks fine. But I want to open it not with the text edit, which is the default. I'll come to Excel. Now, I always get this message, but I still try to, always say OK. And most of the time, I do get it in the correct format. As you can see, I have everything in its columns. And then if I want to make this now the price per plant, and I just drop my price in here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing of how to work Excel, but you get the idea. Then this would be the multiplying column, and then you would have your totals and your subtotals down here. I find this much easier to work with. If I need to export it back into the drawings, in other words, into the client's pamphlet that they're going to get, I export it as a PDF, and I just drop the PDF on there as an image. It seems to work quite well. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope you got something from that, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.